You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WFHR Daily News Roundup for locally grown radio 97.5 FM and 1320 AM and WisCountry 105.5 FM WIRI in Wisconsin Rapids.
For WFHR and WIRI News, I'm Melissa Kay. Two places that house veterans in need now have to close because money to keep them open wasn't included in the state budget. Savannah Tolmay-Olson reports.
The Veterans Housing and Recovery Program provides temporary housing, job training, and resources to veterans facing homelessness. It operates 3 short-term housing facilities across the state in Chippewa Falls, Green Bay, and Union Grove. Governor Tony Evers added almost $2 million in his budget proposal to keep funding the 3 sites, but Republicans removed it and gave the program $0 in new money. That's forcing the housing centers in Chippewa Falls and Green Bay to close. Evers says the Joint Finance Committee was warned by the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, the nonpartisan, basically accountants of the legislature, that this would happen if they didn't invest more money. Evers called the move irresponsible and says he'll keep fighting for veterans. And when the legislature is back in session this fall, veteran services will be a top priority. The Chippewa Falls and Green Bay locations will close September 30th. Veterans there will be offered alternative housing.
A recent United Way study found 1 in 3 Wisconsin families are struggling to afford basic expenses. According to the study, about 24% of Wisconsin households are identified as ALICE families by the organization, meaning asset-limited, income-constrained, and employed. The designation covers families with enough income to remain above the federal poverty line, but are unable to afford basic needs like housing, childcare, and transportation. The study also found the number of ALICE families in the state has grown by about 12% since 2010. In central Wisconsin, United Way of Marathon County and United Way of Southwood and Adams counties offer 211 services for those in need. You can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When the warm weather hits, our natural reaction is to shed the layers and get outside. But more exposed skin outdoors can raise the risk of hives, rashes, and other mysterious bumps. Dr. Elizabeth Ender is an allergist at Aspira St. Luke's. She said being aware, trying to understand what's triggering the symptoms and allergic reactions is key to proper treatment and prevention.
The most important tool we have really is the history that we get. So it can be extremely helpful to have people keep a diary, a journal of symptoms that they're noticing and kind of the timeline of those symptoms.
Dr. Ender said to keep track of when symptoms happen. For instance, do they start as soon as you go out of doors or when you're in a dusty barn? Do symptoms happen around certain animals? She said having this history can really help diagnose what's triggering your allergic reactions. There are some seasonal allergies people don't even realize they have until they seek treatment.
The most common ones that I see tend to be people that have like grass allergy that come into contact with pollinating grass and then get like hives all over their feet or legs.
And kids can experience intense swelling or irritation from bug bites.
There is something called skeeter syndrome that kids can get where they have just severe reactions to mosquito bites. Again, that usually improves over the summer as they get more mosquito bites and tends to fade away as people get older.
While some reactions can be treated with over-the-counter or home remedies, Dr. Ender said some symptoms should never be ignored.
They develop hives and then also start to notice breathing problems, or they are noticing throat swelling, fainting, something like that in association with the hives, then they should be seen promptly.
I'm Melissa Kay for WFHR WIRI News.
A new champion in the Home Run Derby. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, slugger Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners won the Home Run Derby in Atlanta. Raleigh with a total of 54 home runs hit. The All-Star game going on tonight. Freddie Peralta, rookie Jacob Mizorowski, and closer Trevor McGill, all there to represent the Brewers. McGill asked, where did reaching the All-Star game rank on his list of goals this season?
This was number one for me this year. You guys asked me earlier this season, and I kept it to myself that this is what, I was striving for. and a lot of hard work and a lot of pitchers in front of me, a lot of my bullpen guys in front of me, putting it down and giving me the opportunity to go out there and get saves this year. So, without the guys around me, this probably wouldn't be possible.
Basketball, it's the Bucks and the Chicago Bulls tomorrow in Las Vegas in Summer League action. How hard is it to build a roster these days? GM John Horst.
I think the NBA is as compelling and competitive today as it's ever been. There are genuinely 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, going into a season that have a real chance to play. There are elite players on these teams in both conferences. Our young players are starting to contribute at a high level. You're going to see some of these guys pop again for us this year, just like you saw AJ Green pop for us last year. Ryan Rollins is getting ready to come. I'm just thankful that we get to kind of operate in that system and try to do things that we can.
That's Bucks GM John Horst. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The summer box office remains financially healthy thanks to The Man of Steel. Superman was the top dog to no one's surprise, pulling in $122 million domestically over the weekend and almost another $100 million from overseas. Here at home, that's the third biggest opening of the year. The news was good for DC Comics as director James Gunn is also the co-head of the whole operation, so they needed this to be a winner. Rounding out the top 5 were all big-time blockbuster-esque films. Jurassic World Rebirth was the top dog last week and came in second place with $40 million big ones. In its third week of release, F1 delivered $13 million at the box office. And rounding out the 4th and 5th place were Kid Flick's How to Train Your Dragon, which came in with close to $8 million, and Pixar's Elio, which came in with just under $4 million. Superman is expected to top the charts again next week, as there will be no real competition until the Fantastic Four: First Steps hits the big screen July 25th. Do I recommend Superman? Sort of. As a video, it rocks, but as a movie, I guess it's still just okay. First, the good. James Gunn keeps the action and story moving along nicely. The film relies on what we already know about Superman, his adoptive parents in Kansas, and Lex Luthor, who in this installment resembles a certain billionaire. The filmmakers choose to go right to the bells and whistles, i.e. action, music, and some stunning effects. They even introduce a character that looks like it stumbled into the wrong movie from Jurassic World. There were a few other tangential issues I had, including a couple Daily Planet reporters who didn't even need to be in the film. And with a total of about 5 lines, actor Wendell Pierce as Perry White had absolutely nothing to do in the film. But Pierce is a great actor and deserves the residual checks coming his way. The main players, David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, are great as Superman and Lois. Having said that, there is definitely enough cinematic energy in this movie to make the theater-going experience more fun than watching it at home. Everyone loves an underdog story. Sean Astin is hoping to unseat Fran Drescher and become the new SAG-AFTRA president. The real underdogs here are the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of TV and Radio Artists unions, who are coming off a 2023 4-month-long strike. The unions face uncertainty in the age of AI and studios who are now owned by major conglomerates. It's Rudy versus the nanny, so get some popcorn ready and hope that SAG ends up with the right leader. Actors are often perceived as narcissistic egomaniacs. Not saying those people don't exist, but actor Stellan Skarsgård is not one of them. The 74-year-old Swedish actor who has sired 8 children, most of whom are actors, took a pay cut on the film's sentimental value so the crew could have better lunches. Skarsgård spent what equals $50,000 of his own money to make sure the crew was well fed, which he says will benefit the project in the long run. He is absolutely right and an incredible actor. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be sunny and muggy again today. Our high right around 88 this afternoon. Tonight, scattered thunderstorms, some locally heavy rain tonight and tomorrow. We'll get to 67 tonight, 79 with a scattered thunderstorm or two likely tomorrow, with more rain tomorrow night. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 75.
That's your WFHR and WIRI Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WFHR.com or WisCountry, that's WIS Country.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.